Now, if you have a friend, it helps, but I don't have any friends. I have a dog, so I'll use my legs.
Turbo dance! Turbo dance! I got your butt!
So what we're about to do, I'm gonna show you how you can accomplish removing your rear wheel from your Honda Shadow 600 with some basic tools if you're in a pinch. Today, we're gonna inspect our colon, make sure we don't have any polyps. As you get older, certain things can be indicators of good health. For instance, if you wake in the morning, you find yourself being very flatulent, sign that there are no polyps in your rectum. To find such said polyps, you want to get a good set of sturdy gloves. These are rubber lined for good grip, so you can really feel the polyps in the rectum. Let's get started. So what we're about to do is something that no man has done before. Many years ago, actually not that long ago, I'm not that old. There was a time when I was less old than I am now. I went to Cycle Gear because I needed a new tire and I had a flat tire. So I rode there and they did not have a jack or any way to get it off my bike, obviously, because it's Cycle Gear. It's just not what they do. I ended up out on the curb in front of Cycle Gear, figuring out how to remove my rear tire. I'm going to show you how you can accomplish removing your rear wheel from your Honda Shadow 600 with some basic tools if you're in a pinch. This is not the preferred method of changing a tire. This isn't the greatest way, the easiest, the simplest trick. You've tried all the other jacks, now try this dumb shit. The ground! No, we're not doing that today, but we're gonna have a little adventure and I hope you guys enjoy. So if you don't have a flapjack at home and maybe your parents didn't teach you how to use Bisquick or that Kodiak protein pancake mix, we're gonna show you how to accomplish this without that. You don't even need syrup or butter. And we're gonna do this without a single flapjack. You won't need cast iron, you won't need your stainless, you won't need your poison-coated pans, you won't need anything. We're gonna teach you how to do this without a single flapjack or other breakfast food. It's gonna be great, guys. Now, the first thing you may notice about this bike is it doesn't have the chrome thingies that come off of this rib part here to go back to make the sound. They're a consolation prize for somebody. By the way, if anybody needs stock pipes, those will be on the Instagram channel for super cheap. So we've also removed the brake stay, not removed it, but loosened the bolt. Also removed the brake rod from the rear brake drum itself. So the wheel is free except for the chain on the other side. So you're gonna wanna get a 14mm socket or a 14mm combination wrench and loosen this guy up. Back it out all the way. See that? So if I go forward with it, you can see the tip coming out right there. It's a tip. And you wanna back it out all the way as far as you can go and don't wanna lose it though. You may notice this looks different than your bike. That is because all my Honda Shadows, I flip the axle around. The 600s on the rear. If I'm using the stock rear wheel, which I usually do, flip this around so that it goes in from the right side of the bike, exhaust side of the bike. You tighten the nut on the other side. There's a couple reasons for that. One, if you want to put a license plate bracket on the left side of your bike, it's kind of a bitch to have to lift your whole bike, pull the entire axle out of the wheel and the swing arm, and then put it all the way back in just to get that license plate bracket on there. So what if you want to change the license bracket? What if you don't like it? What if you want to move it? That was the whole reason I originally flipped my axle around, but then I discovered, oh, thank God I did that, because when I came across the situation trying to get my rear wheel off, now I actually can do it. So let's get started. The most important part of this job, parts are falling off the bike. That's cool. You wanna make sure you don't have any turn signals because turn signals are of the and this right here is super important to most of the things you do on your bike. If you don't have this, the job will probably go wrong. Just letting you guys know. If you don't have these, go out and get some, probably at the junkyard, maybe the, I don't know, a lingerie store might have them. Perhaps it's a ferreteria, they have ferrets there. They might have these. We've loosened the axle adjusters on both sides, the bolts, and then we're gonna get a 24mm socket. This is basic shit you can keep in your toolkit with your bike. 24mm, we're gonna loosen this guy up and throw it away for fun later and get the tools out of the way. You're gonna have to lay your bike down on its side like a lame horse. Now, before we do this, you can see the end of the axle sticking out here. What you wanna do is push that in a little bit. And I'm guessing you didn't bring a hammer in your tool bag on your motorcycle. It's okay, you can use a ratchet pretty simply. This is not, again, the preferred way to use the ratchet, but this will work if you're on the side of the road. And I'm sacrificing my tools for you guys. So now that the axle is pushed inside the axle adjusting ring here, you're gonna get some of the best duct tape in the world. You might ask yourself where you get this stuff. Very hard to come by. Much like a small batch of very fine whiskey, you're gonna wanna get a regular roll of duct tape and stick it in the back of your trunk for like 3 years, okay? And you have to live in a really hot climate. So I'm here in Southern California. This has been in the back of my car for 3 years, melting and falling apart. So now the sticky shit is pretty much like cement. It's not going anywhere. That's how you get the best duct tape in the world. It should look like someone ran it over. That's very effective. TJ Brutal Customs, we believe in doing top quality research and development with the best tools and the best equipment. So if you want the best motorcycle parts built by the biggest idiots on the planet, shop tjbc.com. You should have a small roll of tape in your bike's tool bag. Easy way to keep a bunch of tape with you is get a lighter, wrap 3 or 4 feet of duct tape around the lighter. Now you got a roll of tape and a lighter. So what I did was I taped this little guy down. So now before I put this piece of tape on all the way, you're gonna notice that the wheel is pushed forward on this side pretty far. So this little ring, which holds the axle inside the axle plate, is pushed all the way forward. Now we push that tape on there. Yeah, it's really sticky. Oh, the tackiness is just impressive. I wanna make sure we got that point for you guys so you don't miss out on anything. I'm probably gonna sell some of that online at a premium. People pay good money for the best duct tape in the world. Put your kickstand up and you're gonna let your bike down nice and easy. There you go, just like a horse. Now you can see all kinds of ugly things. This is garbage, this is garbage. We have U-Core tanks to replace that. You get to see the soft white underbelly of your motorcycle. The tire's exposed, the axle is sticking out. You're gonna get over the bike and pull the axle. A few things I want you to be mindful of here. There are 2 spacers on either side of your wheel. Bottom one pockets into a dust cover. The one on the right, well, the top right now, does not. Take note of how those spacers go in, because I have seen people try to flip them or switch them around. One goes the other way. This one here is actually flanged. The large flange, the top half portion goes against the axle plate, not the drum brake. So we're gonna pull this axle out, throw it in the dirt on the side of the road. Make sure these parts you throw across the road too. It makes for a fun game later when you're trying to reassemble things in the dark. That's the spacer I was talking about right there. On reassembly, it goes in this way. Now you've got a chain to contend with here. So you gotta reach under, loop the chain over it. You just heard the other spacer come out and roll your tire out. This is the other spacer I spoke of. One side has a lip, the other doesn't. You can see on here very easily where this sits inside the dust cover. Now, we're gonna fast forward. We're gonna pretend that we took this to a friendly neighboring motorcycle shop and they were able to put a new tire on for us so we continue on our journey to the golden pole. So now you've got your new tire on your wheel and now you gotta reassemble this bitch. This is the hard part. So you're gonna lay the tire down again, what we just did, in reverse. Watch out for this little spacer guy. Probably gonna fall out, but that's okay. This is the part where I look very attractive wrestling a wheel. I've gotten the chain up on the sprocket. You can see my spacers in here still, and I'm over the axle plate. Now, if you're not careful, that little spacer wants to pop out. So what you wanna do is guide it up over onto the center of the axle plate. So while it's down there, I'm gonna take a peek. Am I close? Nope, not even close. So then I get to lay in the mud with my homies, and we're gonna scooch this around a little bit. There we go. Now we're over the axle plate, relatively close to where we wanna end up. And you can see everything's pretty level. Now we reinstall this bitch. Get your axle, adjuster, and spacer. Remember, top half portion goes towards the outside of the bike. Scooch this underneath here. You're gonna try and line things up. Oh, wow, that sounded promising. Now make sure this rod is down below here. You can orient the plate for the brake shoes. Make sure this guy isn't twisted up or going the other direction. And now you're gonna lift the bike up. With any luck, we will have gotten pretty close, real fucking close. So you wanna manipulate the wheel to where you can get the spacer lined back up in the axle plate. This is probably the hardest part of the whole fucking thing. Now, if you have a friend, it helps, but I don't have any friends. I have a dog, so I'll use my leg. So now we've got our little adjuster in here. We're gonna go find the nut that we threw away down the street, because that's part of the fun of repairing things on the side of the road, is trying to find the pieces in the dark. I highly recommend not bringing a flashlight or any sorts of light if you're on a motorcycle trip where you're gonna be riding at night, because almost cheating, you know? Like, you wanna have to dig through the fucking gravel and the heroin needles and use condoms on the side of the road by the truck stop to find the one nut you need, okay? Flashlight, find it in 5 minutes. Where's the fun in that? You don't be able to tell people. I had an adventure. I found so many weird fucking things on the side of the road. Did you find the nut for your bike? No, we use baling wire. See, great story. Before we tighten this down all the way, we're going to do the thing called adjusting the axles. Axle. There's not two, there's only one. So we're on the second notch there. Now it can be helpful to get the bike up, scooch her back and forth a little bit. It's gonna wiggle the rear tire. We're at the same distance back at the same notches on both sides. Now we can tighten down our axle. This right here, this part right there, that, which is a 17 millimeter. You might notice if I turn this, it might spin. So in that case, having a 17 millimeter on hand helps. I'm just gonna see if it does. I'm gonna keep tightening. We'll see. Generally, I haven't needed to hold this side when I put an axle back in. The weight of the bike holds the axle pretty good, sitting on the bearings. All right. And then you're gonna tighten your lock nuts right there. That guy, that is a 14 millimeter. Boop. Not too tight, not too tight. Now the next thing to do is hook up your brake. Back here to the grundle of the bike, we're going to reassemble some things. So first we're gonna take our brake actuator rod or whatever the fuck it's called. So I'm gonna do this without Ben's help because I wanna show you guys how to brake dance. See that? Could have fucking destroyed the Olympics, but I didn't go because I'm so humble. So I use my right foot to push the brake pedal down, and then I can manipulate this part here to line up with the brake rod. Keeping your foot on the pedal. I don't know if you can see this or not. That little nut goes on the end there. Let it go, and it'll push the rod out a little bit. Voila. Next up, no more brake dancing. All right, super important here. You've got a nut, a washer, and a rubber isolating washer. The bolt goes in the back. Make sure that the whole thing sits inside there. It's a hex-shaped bolt head. And if you don't push it all the way in, it's gonna stick part way through. And then you're gonna go, what the fuck's going on? This is all fucky. So spin it a little bit till it sits in there nice. The rubber isolator goes on. Boop. The shoulder of the bolt has to go through the brake stay. Then the metal washer, then the nut. I'm talking to you, Huntington Beach Honda. I had them change my tire once upon a time when I didn't know how to do these things. And I went about 20 feet out of the dealership and hit my brakes, and they didn't even put this back in, or they didn't put this one back in. And the whole brake went, really fucking cool. And you're gonna wanna go get your cotter pin. So now you have this little cotter pin here that goes through the little hole, which is what cotter pins usually do. Unless you're new to this. Just push in a little tiny hole that I can't see because we're on camera and I have to make sure I'm being professional. Okay, so this cotter pin is stupid. The head of it is all funky. So I'm gonna put a little bend in the head so it doesn't push through the bolt. There we go. And now you bend the arms of this little pin around the bolt. Ta-da! And we have an extra nut, which means we did our job right. You always wanted extra hardware when you're done with the project. Ladies and gentlemen, I really hope you enjoyed this video on how to collect your own rainwater and get fucked by the government. Actually, this is only an advertisement for the world's best duct tape right there. See that? A bit of shop rag on there. Fizz hair. Look at that. Yeah, that's a fizzle butt hair. Definitely from his butt. But this was the star of the show. Thank you guys for watching. We're gonna set her aside for a few moments. If you found this video helpful, I'm really happy for you. I'm really excited that you enjoyed the video that we put so much time and energy into. We actually had to film this at night because it was too hot during the day. We would just look too damn sexy and we don't want to break the internet. But if you liked it, hit the like and subscribe buttons. You know what to do, guys. Leave us a comment too, because I'm not going to answer it.